Since the beginning of complex thought, life and death have been on the minds of humanity. Where were we before we were born? And where will we go once we transition out of this physical form? Are questions that have followed us through the sands of time. Easily digestible to some, more complex to face for others. Today we will go on a journey to explore the funerary rites of the Western world. Through this exploration, we will ponder the implications of our tendency to hermetically seal death, and also what might be gained by sitting more intimately with the concept. Based on what we know from historical documents, things such as mounds, pyres, and graves have been used throughout time to honor the physical passing from one world to the next. In times past, the style and mourning duration were set by the culture. With a huge flood of various backgrounds collecting in the New World, the Western world, rites and traditions began to morph along with the radically evolving culture and the abatement of what many saw as an old national identity. Mounds, waterways, and shallow graves with shrouded corpses were typical ways in which the pioneers of the New World handled their dead. Fear of diseases from the mass unmarked graves, and the waters began to run red as families mourned the inability to say goodbye to their lost children and family members. Something drastic was on the horizon. By the early 1800s, casket makers and cemeteries were a typical thing found in most communities. Casket makers took on an almost priestly presence, visiting those preparing for death days before the funeral. Each person's measurement made into a box just for them. Pondering on this now, I'm in awe of the close relationship we maintained with both life and death. As America progressed in its identity, so did the progression of its funerary rites develop. The New World had developed a keen distaste for the decay of death, removing themselves further and further from the natural order, the hermetic process of death, slowly desensitized a nation to the truth of their own mortality. As the sanitization of death moved forward, and coffins became more commonplace in America funerary rites, the concept of spontaneous reanimation started to flood through the papers and the talks of the town. As the fear of being buried alive, as well as the trend of showing status beyond death, became more and more normal, the business of death would prove profitable time and time again. New innovations started to flood the market with promises of sparing everyone from the contemporary issues of death and dying. 1848, a stove merchant named Almond Dunbar Fisk patented the Fisk metallic burial case after running into troubles, having his own brother transported from Mississippi to New York after his untimely passing. The Fisk metallic burial case, also known as the iron casket, was designed to slow decomposition, to aid in safe transportation of a body via steam travel, as well as prevent the spread of contagious diseases. Adding to its mystique was its sarcophagus-like form. A small window plate allowed mourners to view their deceased without smelling odors or exposure to pathogens. The cast iron was often imbued with decorations such as angels, wreaths, and oak leaves. This casket was said to be so effective in keeping your deceased one inside that sometimes it led to dramatic gas pressure ruptures if not handled properly. Although the Fisk metallic burial case was popular, especially with wealthier people, production slowed down with the rise of modern embalming during the Civil War. By the mid-1860s, mass casket production was made a necessity. The first practices of intentional human embalming began in ancient Egypt. Though this practice was said to have preserved the body for afterlife, in the New World, war, and the need to bring loved family members home, mothers and wives everywhere demanded a preservation procedure to optimize intact journey home. The 20th century saw a rise in morticians, mortuaries, crematoriums, and a steady decline of family participation in their loved one's death. Moving further from the days of at-home funerals and burials, the New World had made its decision on how they would handle death. Sterile, procedural, and cold, death was no longer a celebration of life. It was a commodity to be sold. It may come as no surprise then, sitting in present-day 2026, the Western world is the farthest it's ever been to its connection between life and the transition we call death. We live now in a culture obsessed with immortality, ageless beauty, and the hermetic sealing of decay. With this trajectory in mind, I wonder what the generations to come will look like, how they will honor the lives of those who have passed, and if they will have any connection with the sense of organic cosmic order.